I'll make this my first question to Fernando as we welcome him in. Sacramento Hall of Fame electee to be, and we'll get you all the information on that. Thank you, Fernando. It's Dave. It's Jay. How are you this morning?
Doing okay, buddy. Good morning to both of you. Appreciate it.
The question I want to ask you, which ties into a segment we just did, I would imagine as somebody who knows very much what it's like to win, that there is a big difference between wanting to win and knowing how to win. Am I off there?
No, you're right. You're right. It takes, as a team, you got to make sure that you get together, you do the right things, and everybody obviously wants to win, especially at the highest level and growing up. But it takes a while to figure out what you have to do and how you do it together and how you pick each other up and how you're going to have bad days and you got to pick the other guy up. It's just part of a process, and that's what it's all about, is learning that, and that's what makes it so difficult and so special when teams do win.
And you probably screw up a lot along the way too.
Oh yeah, there's always roads that'll be, even as you keep going and you get to the highest level and you're trying to fight to get to the highest level. I mean, there's going to be roads you go down that don't look too promising, but as an athlete and as a human being, you have to keep digging and try not to look back and try to get over the road bumps and see what happens. And that's what usually happens to most athletes, I think, as you keep going and try to make it to the top.
Fernando Vina with us. We'll get to the class of 2020 Saturday, January 25th. That's just 3 days away, the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame. Fernando, a lot of fans of yours listening right now. Catch us up. What have you been doing with yourself lately?
I've been doing a lot of baseball camps for Major League Baseball. We travel around and help underprivileged kids. We get them on the baseball field that don't have that opportunity most times, and we help them out and teach them how to be like you talked about, Carmichael, Dave, be an athlete, how to work together as a team, how to, I think all these attributes help you off the field too. So it's kind of something that I really enjoy, and I see the smile on these kids' faces. We went to China, we went to Hawaii. On every island we did different baseball camps, and it's something that I enjoy doing. And Chevy sponsors it, and we kind of go with it and take it one camp at a time, and it's a good thing for the kids, and it really makes me feel good to be on the field with them.
We had Trevor Maddich on yesterday talking about the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame. The late, great Diego Corrales will be honored, along with Randy Lurch, Trevor, Fernando, Gerald Wilhite. You can check that out Saturday. That's this Saturday. For more info, SacSportsHOF, HallOfFame.com. Speaking of Hall of Fame, Larry Walker gets in. Derek Jeter gets in. We talked a little bit about Derek Jeter being one vote away from being unanimous, but you think they got it right, I think, in both cases, Walker and Jeter?
I think so, yeah, definitely. Those are both Jeter's a shoe-in, and Larry Walker had a tremendous career and played really well for so long and did it for many years. So, yeah, they definitely got it right. And I like some of the guys that are still on the ballot. I like seeing that their numbers, the percentages went up. So it definitely is exciting time to see these guys get in. And obviously we all knew Derek Jeter was going in.
Yeah, I don't want to hijack the whole conversation with this, but you know what's coming. It's, you can have big fat guys like me that never played pro baseball opine all day long about it. But as somebody who has such a love for the game and such a history for the game, I am curious as to your thoughts on what's going on with the Astros and possibly the Red Sox, that incident. And are we seeing the whole picture? Is there anything we're missing as a collective group? Or when you see something like that, are you disgusted? I'm curious. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I started thinking about if I was able to know what pitches were coming and how I'd react and what I'd be able to do. So yeah, definitely, it definitely stings you what they were doing with the camera and the different noises inside with the monitor inside the clubhouse, walking right up right there and making noises. So as a hitter, you knew when it was a fastball, when it was off speed. And if I had that ability to know that prior to getting in the batter's box, boy, I would be. I think I ended up a career 283 hitter and maybe shoot closer to 300. So yeah, definitely. I think they crossed the line. It was very wrong what Alex Cora and the group did collectively. I know the owner Crane. He's gotten rid of the manager and the GM Lou now and try to make some changes. But you wonder now, are they going to do something as collectively as a team? Do you vacate the titles they won to make it right? Because are the players getting penalized now? Do they, that's the big talk now. Should we penalize the players? And that's where it's kind of coming to now.
and talking to somebody, and this is where it's fascinating, Fernando, somebody who's actually been in locker rooms, somebody who understands that it goes beyond what we see. A lot of these guys not everybody is Altuve, not everybody's Bregman. Some of these guys are trying to feed families. They're trying to, and by the way, some of these pitchers that got yanked on, they're trying to feed families. But what I'm curious about, Fernando, is the other side we don't talk about a lot. You're in that locker room. You've got teammates that are doing this, that banging trash cans. Maybe they have buzzers, maybe they don't. Do we give enough credit in the media to the difficult decision as a player? Like, how does that go over in the locker room, Fernando, if you say, I don't want any part of this? Are you an outcast at that point? How does that work?
I think so. I think, in the clubhouse, you have to, buy into what everybody's doing as a team. If you want to win, you don't want anybody pulling away from it. So I think, as a hitter, once they put that system in place, and it was part of it, especially in the playoffs, it takes it to a whole another level. The pressure, the anxiety, you wake up, you really can't sleep at night because you're fired up to get to the ballpark to play in that playoff game. So when you're doing that, and then they had a system in place to know the pitches. As a hitter, I think you could just kind of roll with it if you were those players, I guess, because that was there for them. I never had that opportunity to know the pitches, but that was there for them, and they mastered it, I guess you would say. I guess Alex Cora had a system. They had that camera. It's unbelievable how they pulled it off. And like you said, Carmichael, Dave, I didn't know if they had the buzzer going. There's been some talk of that. So if that was the case too, it's crazy what they were up to.
So last thing on that, let's fast forward, 2-3 decades, Fernando. Let's say you get grandfathered in, you're a Hall of Fame voter, and I know this is way too soon, but we had the whole steroid thing way back, which seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it was. Now we have this, and I think it'll take us some time to really appreciate whether this is bigger or smaller than we think. But in your mind, if players are proven to have been part of this knowingly and willingly, do you think that should affect their entry into the Hall of Fame like it did with the Bonses and the Clemens and the Palmeiros, or do you think this is a kind of a separate thing?
I'm kind of partial to that. I don't believe it should affect their Hall of Fame status, and I don't believe I'm in the same realm with the steroid thing, because I know how hard it is to hit, and I know what it takes to be a good hitter and what you have to do, and regardless of what you're doing or if you did steroids or not, whatever it is the case, I know it's a difficult thing to hit a baseball when they're throwing, up to 100 miles an hour and then changing it up on you and sliders and carving the corners on you, just different things. But I think with this involved, and we're talking about this now with the sign stealing, I know it's pretty gross what they were up to and what they were doing, getting pitches. And like I said, I would have loved to have to know the pitches, and I would have did so much easier for me as a hitter. You become a Hall of Famer, some pitches coming for so long. But I don't think they did it. From what I've seen, I don't know how long they did it for. It wasn't for a long period of time. I think Mike Fears, their pitcher that came out and sold these guys out, sold the team out pretty much, got to the bottom of it pretty quick. And I don't believe it should follow them down the line. Altuve's a great player. Bregman's incredible. And Springer's a stud. So, you look at these guys, Correa, they got so many great players, and they're so talented. They don't need to know the pitches, but they were. And when you know the pitches, I think Carmichael, Dave, and I remember the series in 2017 and then in 19 with the Red Sox. These guys were locked in. They were taking nasty pitches from a hitter standpoint that I know you'd wonder, man, how are they taking these pitches? How are they able to lay off? How are they, waiting for the good pitches? And now we know why. So it is it's not a good situation they were part of, but I think if you take care of it and you nip it right now, I think you let that go, and a lot of people are going to pay the consequences for it.
You brought up Mike Fiers, so I will finish with this because I think this is also fascinating. Whether you agree or disagree with what he did, let's put that aside. Is he looked at differently in major league locker rooms for the rest of his career?
I think so. I think guys are going to have their comments. I think a lot of guys support him. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have a little bit of both. I know Pedro Martinez came out and said that he shouldn't have came out and said things. And, I'm a big proponent of keeping in what's in the locker room. He stays inside there. But, I guess this is something he felt that wasn't right, and he came out and spoke about it. And I mean, you got to give the guy credit because he's going to take some heat from other players, but I think a lot of other players are going to get on board and support him also. So I think at the end of the day, you get it right, you fix it, you penalize who was doing this because it was. I mean, I never heard putting up cameras and doing all this stuff because I was a guy I didn't want to see. I didn't really want to know what pitch was coming. I trained to learn to look for the fastball and react to off-speed pitches and go from there. And I think you listen to Pete Rose, too. He said the same thing about he didn't want to know any pitches, and if he did, it could mess him up because a lot of times they would get it wrong. But this is a system they had in place that was working for them, and obviously they had it down pat. So, they were tremendously wrong, but now they got to really, I think the commissioner and everybody involved, they got to get to the bottom of it and knock this out and clean it up for the respect of the game, for the sanity of the game. They have to get this thing right and get these players or teams or vacate. And it's upsetting because I think it was done to the Los Angeles Dodgers 2 years. So that's kind of frustrating as a team. They were playing the right way, and these guys they knew every pitch. So it definitely is nothing good, but they got to get it behind them and penalize people that need to be penalized and make it count.
Along with the late, great Diego Corrales, Trevor Maddich, who we had on yesterday, and many others, Fernando Vina will be inducted into the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame this Saturday, Thunder Valley, 7 p.m. is the start. Go to SacSportsHof.com. And let's tie that now back into something more positive. We started this conversation, Fernando, catching up with you and what you've been doing, and the fact that you're working with kids and traveling around the world to do that. I can't think of too many better ways for anyone, much less an ex-baseball player, to spend their time. So in light of stuff, this is one of the fallouts from all of this that as a dad, Fernando, really worried me as a son who's played Little League his whole life is, I imagine you're not just teaching kids how to hit, but also, not to sound corny, but the spirit of the game, the honor of the game, the fairness and the sportsmanship of the game, which probably is more important than a lot of these kids that'll never make the major leagues.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, I think first, Carmichael Dave talking, and thank you, Carmichael Dave, for having me on. I've listened to you for years, and I appreciate what you do and all your knowledge of the Kings and how you prop up Sacramento sports. You're incredible. You're a gift and a treat to this to Sacramento, and you do great things. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And also regarding the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, I want to thank TC Martin and his wife Gina for what they put on. This is the 8th year they're putting this on, and they're recognizing athletes from around the area, and this is something special. They really take it to heart, and they do a great job. So I want to thank them, and obviously I'm honored to be part of the inductees that are coming in this year. With rest in peace, Diego Corrales. He was great. Randy Lurch is a great man. Trevor Maddich and Gerald Wilhite from Cordova, and Randy Lurch was from Cordova High School also. So these guys are class acts. They were incredible on the field and off the field. They're special people. So I'm grateful to be part of that. And going to your question, Carmichael Dave, about the kids, definitely I try to teach kids. Obviously, there's things you do on a baseball field that goes hand in hand how you attack and go after life. So I think when I work with these kids about competing and fighting and staying together and digging, day in, day out, you have to dig, and that's part of life. You have to keep going. Life's not always easy, and you got to be grateful for what you get, and you got to really pick up your buddy. And I think when you look at baseball, you're going to strike out. That's guaranteed. You're going to make errors. That's a guarantee. You're going to go into slumps. That's a guarantee. And if you think of those three things, you put them with day in, day out life. They all come together, and that's where I kind of try to talk to these kids and try to keep them going and going after what they want to do, and to dream big. I was a big dreamer coming. My parents came from Cuba. They defected from Cuba to give me a chance here in the United States. So that's something that I learned, the fight and the hunger and to go after what you want to be is something that I went with because of what my parents taught me of, their strength of defecting Cuba and getting caught a few times before they were able to get out of Cuba and go to Key West and give me, my brother, and my sister a chance in the United States. So all that combined, I try to wrap it up together and work with these kids and go, you go after reps, you do reps, defensively or hitting or whatever it might be. But we always have a talk at the end. Everybody speaks, and we talk to these kids and we help them to get their mindset together, and to stay grateful, stay humble, and to thank God, and do good in sports. Appreciate your parents so much and love them, and really remember to always we gotta work hard. We have to keep digging, and we know there's going to be some downfalls, but at the end of the day, you never look back and you keep going forward.
Well, couldn't have said it better, and that's why one of the many reasons he's going to the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, which may not be the Baseball Hall of Fame, but to people here means an absolute ton and says something, especially when you look at the past classes in there as well. Fernando, it goes without saying, if you're ever doing anything in town, if there's ever anything I can do, you let me know. With baseball season coming up, don't be a stranger. I know you're busy, but you have a great mind, and you're a good dude. We'd love to have you on again and talk a little ball.
Okay, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, Carmichael Dave. I want to give a shout-out to a few of my high school coaches, Dave Katsoulis, Frank Santangelo, Jeff Alves from the Sacramento area that helped me out a ton. I'm in Lake Tahoe now, but these guys, incredible people, and they helped me learn along the way. Paul Carmazzi and Jerry Weinstein also was a coach of mine at Sac City College, and Paul Carmazzi and Jerry together always told me that really stuck with me as a young kid, to never go down that easy road, to always don't take the easiest path of resistance. Always go down the road that's a little tougher, and that'll make you better in the long run. And I really took that to heart. And I thank Paul Carmazzi and Jerry Weinstein for helping me with that. And that's what has went with me along the way on this blessed road that I've been on, that I thank God for. And thank you, Carmichael Dave, for having me on.